Hey everyone, my name is David Dunbar, or the Theme Park Evangelist. So, I'm dressed a little differently today, maybe even nice. It's not Sunday, it's actually Monday, and you're probably scratching your head thinking to yourself, why is David dressed so nicely, especially if there's no church? So, I went to a job fair for Answers in Genesis. I know, strange with the coronavirus going on, which actually is the main topic of the video, but let me get this over and done with first. So I went out to a job fair for Answers in Genesis. My dad and I walked in the Answer Center, and they were in the big auditorium, which was really, really nice. I mean, compared to the one for the Creation Museum, which honestly, this is like 10 times bigger, so I can see why they would rather use this from now on. So, yes, definitely not disappointed in this auditorium by any means. And they had all of this space right in front of all the chairs, and they had a bunch of tables set up, and different managers and employees and coordinators from all kinds of different departments from both the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter there, not audiovisual like my dad was looking for. And they had water and coffee and lemonade and all kinds of different foods that the company offers just for you to try out, just so you could get an idea of what they have to offer. And of course, I'm into guest relations, so I went up to the guest relations table and talked to a few people, and God brought me the right person. She brought me over to the other side of the room. By the way, don't forget, this is a really, really big room. If I had a picture of it, I'd show you, but I don't. So just go with me. So this room is really big. So we go over the other side of the room, and there's a bunch of small little tables set up, and there's a bunch of chairs just sitting around, and there's a lady at a table, and she asked me how I can help you. And of course, the lady I was with easily spoke for me, and that helped me. So I got an interview right there on the spot, which I was not expecting. I went into a little cubicle, I guess you could put it. It was just basically a table with two comfortable chairs and a black curtain, which we never close, which is really interesting. And we talked for about 10-15 minutes. We did an interview that long, for that long, that is. Spent a lot of time talking about my faith in God, which I was 100% ready to do, of course. And after that, I was told when the company reopens in 2 weeks, which they're hoping that with everything closing for the next 2 weeks, which even the governor wants to close down restaurants and possibly even movie theaters for the next 2 weeks, that will help stop the spread of germs. But yeah, we're going to get into that in a little bit. So that's the reason why I'm not going to hear anything for 2 weeks. That's because the coronavirus is basically shutting everything down for that long. So it's not that they don't have anything to tell me. It's not that they don't know. Normally they would get back to me within 24 hours, maybe even 48. But in this case, because of the fact that I came at a really weird time with this going on, which nobody honestly saw coming, and considering this is like the disease of the 21st century, and it's a very deadly one from what everybody's saying, even though the flu is more deadly in my opinion. But according to the news, it's not. It's like, yeah, it's just one of those weird situations. I'll just have to be forced to wait till April, and they'll give you guys an update on how everything went with Answers in Genesis. And speaking of the coronavirus, I wanted to talk to you guys about my thoughts on the coronavirus. So if I had thought about it, I would have taken my camera and I would have filmed some clips of my work and shown you guys the empty shells, and then I would have like talked here. Oh, well, let's watch this clip. No, go back to here. Done. Watch this clip. Go back to here. I was so tired yesterday. I've been working ridiculous hours. like crazy over the past few days. So let's go back to next week when this all began here in this state. So obviously the coronavirus started back in January, and never would have seen it coming over the United States. But unfortunately, people didn't think about banning traveling then, and that's honestly what happens when there's a really deadly disease. People just don't think about the fact that, oh, we should ban traveling. That's what we should have done in the first place. Well, they tried banning traveling to China, and I mean, that was a good idea, but they did it too late. And unfortunately, by that point, traveling is already, sorry, the disease already got in the United States, and it's gotten to a lot of places. So, unfortunately, it's gotten to the point where a lot of things have gotten out of control. And now the government is forced to take really serious issues. Even a fake lockdown has gone on the news now. Some people are saying no, it's completely real. I heard a possibility that New York State might go into a lockdown. I mean, we'll see what happens, though. I can't even imagine anybody being forced out of work for 2 whole weeks. That's insane. I especially couldn't see my company being forced to not give anybody hours for 2 weeks. I mean, my company gave me a bit of a hard time when I came back from Florida back a few weeks ago, but it only lasted for a few days and only came from certain managers, maybe specifically one. But I'm just really blessed and thankful that I took my trip when I did, because, oh man, if I had tried to take it now, it would have been a total disaster. There is no way. I would have been so stressed out, but honestly, I'm not that stressed out right now about it. Just more frustrated because people are making a big deal about this when they really shouldn't. So we're going to go back to when all this craziness started in this state. I mean, obviously, you got a bit of an idea of how it started in the country and how it all started, period. It's a Chinese disease. And now everybody's absolutely terrified of Chinese restaurants. Poor Chinese restaurants are dying right now. They're just not doing well. Nobody wants to go eat Chinese right now. I mean, some people will say, well, could you blame them? And I would say, I mean, you can't inherit the coronavirus from eating Chinese food, but some people think that you can. You know, people's opinions just don't matter anymore. People just believe whatever they want to believe and all that good stuff. But yeah, so it was early last week. It was about this time. I was getting ready, I shouldn't say getting ready. I was beginning to develop a really bad sore throat. And the worst it became was a strep throat, which was last Tuesday. I did vlog last Sunday, and that was when my sore throat was just starting. No, obviously it's cured now, but I'm still on penicillin until tonight. And then I will be completely off of it. And I'm praying and hoping that I will not catch anything like that ever again, but, you know, can't ever say ever, never. I'm just putting that out there. So, yeah, I went to 2 different doctor appointments last Monday. I went to a neurologist in the morning, and then I went to the dentist in the afternoon. Of course, I didn't remember my insurance company's name, so that dentist appointment ended up becoming a complete waste of time. Because I'm like, oh crap, I don't remember my dentist appointment, or my dentist insurance's name, which was Delta Dental. I'm like, oh yeah. I finally looked it up when I got home later that day, which was right before they closed. I called, no answer, and I thought to myself, well, they're really good about answering they're listening to their voicemail. So I called. I called, but I left them a voicemail, and they did hear it. They called me back the next morning when I was at work, and because it was around that weird time when I was at work, but I could still answer my phone, which was unusual, even though I was on the clock. I actually was able to answer the phone, and I talked to them, and I was like, oh, perfect, you guys are able to locate my insurance, and now I have insurance. Yay! So I was very happy about that. I set my appointment up for 2 weeks from today. hopefully it doesn't get canceled because of this stupid virus, but we'll see what happens. I mean, this is 2 weeks from now. I mean, anything could happen in 2 weeks. And after that, I was finally able to, schedule an appointment for my primary care physician. So I went over, and of course, the first thing I asked him is, I don't have the coronavirus, do? He's like, oh, no, no, no. And of course, even after everything was said and done, I definitely tested negative for the coronavirus. Actually, tested negative even for strep throat, but he still diagnosed me for it anyway, which is unusual. So yeah, he put me on penicillin. He sent over my prescription over to my work. I went to McDonald's just before I picked up my dad at my mom's work, and I went and got something to eat and drink. My throat was so bad last week. Like last Tuesday, for example. Have you ever had that feeling in your throat when it is burning up, and no matter whether you drank something or whether you're not drinking anything, your throat is so painful and you're trying so hard not to swallow anything, but whenever you do, you have this burning sensation in the back of your throat, and you're just like and when you drink like water, just for example, it is so hard not to swallow, but you're trying to get the water to go to the back of your throat because you know it's healing it, even just a little bit. And you're just dying in agony, like, please, penicillin, please do your work and fast. Because, of course, I went on penicillin right away. As soon as I got home, I could not wait to start taking penicillin. And I knew it was going to take time for it to work. And I took off the next day from work as well. According to the doctor, I had to. And I'm kind of glad I did because my throat was still bothering me. So I came to work Thursday. And it was a little busy, and I'm trying to figure out, why is it so busy? Why is the cart return dead empty? Keep in mind, I have not been at work since Tuesday morning. About 9 in the morning is the last time I saw Meyer. So I come in Thursday morning. Why the heck is it so busy in here? And I thought to myself, well, maybe so-and-so just did a crappy job last night. So finally, after an entire day of insanity, and also unsure why, I went 3 hours into overtime. That's absurd. I've never done that. And the entire time I've worked for Meyer, I have never worked overtime. Not that, well, I mean, I have, but not that to that extent. I have worked maybe 8.5, but 11 hours? I was mind blown. Keep in mind, I started at 7:58 in the morning, and I got off at 7:31 in the evening. And I turned around and I did it all over again the very next day. But I didn't work quite as long the next day. About 16 minutes less the next day. Anyway, so I talked to a coworker, a friend of mine, who was a utility worker, and I'm asking him, so what's going on here? You know, what's with all these people in here? Because I'm not 100% sure what's going on. I mean, I obviously kind of figured I had something to do with the coronavirus. And he said to me, oh, you didn't hear the coronavirus got into Kentucky. I'm like, what? Because I heard from a customer it was in Lexington. And I was like, well, that's not a big deal, but hold on, that's not what he said. He said, oh, you didn't hear? It's in Burlington now. Burlington is basically northern Kentucky. It's in my area, and that's about as much as I'm going to tell you. And I'll let your imagination do the rest. I'm like, what? Are you insane right now? Like, basically, when the coronavirus got into northern Kentucky, which is not a good thing for us, that meant all schools had to be shut down until further notice. So at the moment, we're looking at April, maybe even May. All colleges have gone to completely online. Everybody is just tearing apart all retail and grocery stores, just trying to buy all the supplies they think they need. Like toilet paper is flying off the shelves right now. Like there is no tomorrow. And that's the one thing I cannot figure out. Like, what is going on with that? I just don't understand. It is making me scratch my head as I scratched my head just now. Even though I literally had to scratch my head because I was itchy up there. Anyway, and there's just so many things that are making me wonder right now. It's like, I just don't get it. Like, why is everybody going crazy right now? I'm actually now forced to spray down every single self checkout register once every hour, which maybe not even be enough. Maybe they'll even start going to every half hour. Who knows? I mean, every hour is pretty bad, but could you imagine it getting any worse than that? So I have to spray down all these registers, make sure anywhere where a customer would touch is wiped clean, just to make sure that the customers don't get sick. Well, self checkout is a little easier to maintain as far as sanitary wise goes. The regular registers are harder because there's so many customers rushing through and just plopping their stuff down. Like, I've never seen it this bad before at Meijer. Even during Thanksgiving and Christmas break, it wasn't even this bad. And I think the reason why my work hasn't blocked out any time off requests because nobody wants to go anywhere. Nobody wants to have any time off. People either A, want the hours, or B, don't have a reason to take time off. They're like, well, I take time off, I'm just going to end up staying home. That's no fun. I might as well just stay here and work. Like, everybody's there right now. It reminds me of Christmas all over again, but 10 times worse. That's the best way to put it right now. And now we're getting to the point where Andy Bishare wants to shut down all dine-in restaurants. So basically, if you go to a restaurant that has any dine-in option, that has to be shut down. So if you went to Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Wendy's, the restaurant will stay open, but only if you do carry out or mobile pickup, drive-through. But if you wanted to like eat inside the restaurant, forget it. It's not going to happen because that portion of the restaurant will be locked. I'm waiting for Be Sure to start shutting down all the libraries and the movie theaters. I think the libraries are already shut down, but what do I know? And gyms. He's still getting ready to. I think he. What I mean by still, he's like still needs to shut down the daycares. That I haven't really heard that happen yet because my mom is still working, so it's just a matter of time before my mom is forced out of work. My dad is home for the next 2 weeks. He did have 2 shifts for the next 2 weeks, but unfortunately, he did lose them due to the fact that the coronavirus is going on. Let's talk about Central Florida, since I used to live there, and there's a lot of craziness going on there. And I'm getting ready to wrap up this video, so I'm getting near the 20-minute mark. So, Walt Disney World is officially closed. Now, you can't get any more serious than Walt Disney World being closed. Now, I can understand, like, when Hurricane Irma came through about 3 years ago, and you remember when I lived in Central Florida during Hurricane Irma, it closed down for maybe a few days, but the Disney Resort stayed open. But now we're getting serious. Walt Disney World is closed for 2 weeks. And not just, the parks. Disney Springs closes tomorrow. The Disney Resorts close on March 20th. Everything at Walt Disney World is being closed until the end of the month. Now, Universal is being a little more bold. They are keeping City Walk and their hotels open until the end of the month. As of right now, no, things might change. We'll see what happens. But their parks are closed. Now, the least the benefit about working for Walt Disney World or Universal Orlando Resort is you get 2 weeks of paid time off. So For TJ, that's got to be really nice. He gets 2 weeks of pay time off, and he gets to work for Susan B. Anthony at the same time. I haven't really talked about Susan B. Anthony much, but that's actually a company that my friend Kay Myojo works for. I know we're not really on speaking terms right now, which I've mentioned at the Strawberry Festival, but I am still going to mention the fact that she does work for them. It is a company that is strongly conservative. They are very pro-Trump. I know there's not a lot of people there that are pro-Trump, so you may not support the fact that she works for this company. I don't really do politics stuff, so I try to stay out of that, and that's just me. So yeah, she tries to get people to support Trump, support um, straight marriage, support trying to think of another one, adoption versus abortion. She's very anti-abortion. I know TJ is everything that K is as well, so instead of just repeating everything I just said. And that's why TJ is doing it. Normally, they would go from door to door, getting people to do surveys and seeing what their opinions are. Of course, if you're not interested, they're not going to push you. They will just say, well, thank you for your time, and they will say, have a great day or have a nice day, and then they'll just move on. TJ and K work extremely well together. They usually will take, TJ will usually go in one direction and K will go another. Not trying to make fun of the group One Direction, by the way. And this way they can knock out more houses together. Unfortunately, due to the coronavirus, they're both forced to stay inside Del Lawson's home, which Del Lawson is Kay's best friend since the 1970s. She met him shortly after she moved from Chicago to Central Florida, and she's been best friends with him since. So yes, they'll be in Winter Haven, Florida, in his home for the next few weeks, meaning every day for hours off end on their phones or on the company provided phones, which probably is a tablet more or less, calling up people and trying to get them to do the survey that way. I know it doesn't sound very exciting and they're not really getting the fresh air that way, but you got to get paid somehow, and I guess that's the way to do it. So, kudos to Kate and TJ for finding an alternative to make money. I guess for those of you who are going to be forced out of work, and I mean, so far I have not been, because my company would have told me so. Online work might be the only option right now. And I know that's absolutely insane, but hey, I have a friend that Myra I work with, and she works online, and that's her full-time job. So, you got to do what you got to do. And it is what it is, And as far as me going on as far as what I said to TJ earlier about work, as long as Myra keeps giving me 40 hours a week, and this national-wide ban does not actually happen in Kentucky, that is. I don't know about the rest of the country. I mean, I pray and hope it doesn't happen to everybody. I know it might have happened in New York, but what do I know? Then I personally don't have anything to worry about, but that doesn't mean that I don't want it to happen to everybody else. But I know for a fact that it would suck bad for me if I was cooped up in this house for the next 2 weeks. And I also know that April can't get here soon enough. I pray and hope that April's a much better month than March has been. When they said March Madness, they meant it for this year, because there has been a whole lot of March Madness. So I am going to end my vlog here. I got a Bible study tonight at my church. I'm not going to let no coronavirus stop me from going to church. And as of right now, I'm still working all week long, all 40 hours. But I will keep you guys updated on how everything's going with the coronavirus. And I still will keep doing YouTube videos. Until then, I will see you guys in the next vlog. And always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out.